One question, did we really need a country version of the Bad Boys theme song? I don't think so. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Bad Boys Ride or Die. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you? Bad boys, Bad Boys. Bad Boys Ride or Die is now the fourth film in the Bad Boys franchise. The same two directors, Adil and Bilal, who directed Bad Boys for Life, is back behind the camera for Bad Boys Ride or Die, and this film has Will Smith and Martin Lawrence back in their roles of Mike Lowry and Marcus Barnett. Set after the events of Bad Boys for Life, Miami detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Barnett, as always played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, are fugitives on the run in an attempt to clear their name of the late Captain Howard who died in Bad Boys for Life after being falsely accused of corruption. Now before we get into Bad Boys Ride or Die, I would like to give you my thoughts on the Bad Boys films. Let's start with the first Bad Boys from 1995. In the mid-90s, where that film was Michael Bay's directorial debut, and Will Smith was starting to emerge as a movie star after coming off The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he would later continue his movie stardom in the 90s with other hits such as Independence Day and Men in Black, and it became a commercial success. Michael Bay would go on to direct The Rock and Armageddon, and I think the first Bad Boys is okay. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are great together. That's probably the biggest highlight of that film. As well as the climax at the airport is a lot of fun, but I think it's a bit cheesy, dated, and it felt like a typical 90s buddy cop action movie. So I think it's a pretty mid Michael Bay movie, and I would give that a C+. And 8 years later, we got a sequel, Bad Boys 2 in 2003. 8 years later, Michael Bay doubles down on his Bayham style in Bad Boys 2. And I can see why some would consider that film to be guilty pleasure entertainment. It does have its moments, of course, the great chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. There is an amazing chase scene that does show Michael Bay's capabilities as an action director, but it's just a messy, loud, over-the-top, ridiculous, and overlong sequel that really did not need to be 2.5 hours long. I wouldn't say it's one of Michael Bay's top 5 worst films as a director, but not really that good of a sequel in my opinion, so I would give that C-. And 17 years later, we finally got Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life in 2020. I was skeptical about a Bad Boys 3 because the first two didn't particularly impress me that much. And also, Michael Bay is not back directing and we got two new directors. And after watching it, this was surprisingly good. And I would say it would probably be my biggest surprise film of 2020. And easily the best film in the Bad Boys franchise. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence has still got it. Adil and Bilal did a great job taking over Michael Bay and didn't really feel like just a Michael Bay copycat. And they did try to do their own spin on Bad Boys with their own style. And a primary reason why I think it is the best Bad Boys film was it had a lot of heart to it. And watching it, I was surprised how invested I was in the story and characters, how much emotion it had. And actually giving more emotion to Marcus and Mike. Whereas the first two did feel a bit surface level when it came to character work and emotion. And seeing how much heart there was in this film made it very refreshing for the franchise. And how it focuses on them getting older, Marcus wanting to retire. Whereas the first two films had pretty forgettable villains, I don't even remember their names. This actually had a strong and imposing villain, and not only that, a connection to Mike Lowry's character and fleshing him out more. This and Sonic the Hedgehog were the two highest grossing movies in 2020 before you know what happened. It's not without its ridiculous moments, and some of the CGI was a little iffy at times, but this was a surprisingly entertaining threequel that breathed new life into the Bad Boys franchise, so I would give it 3.5 stars out of 5, a B. After how much Bad Boys for Life was a breath of fresh air for the franchise, and I was hoping this new fourth film would be just as fun. Adil and Bilal are back directing, excited. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence back, of course excited. And the trailers were entertaining too. And I saw Bad Boys Ride or Die Friday night, optimistic. And all I was hoping for, not really particularly anything Oscar-worthy, just a fun time at the movies here. And I'm glad to confirm, Bad Boys Ride or Die did exactly give me that. It is a fun time at the movies. Now granted, I do think Bad Boys for Life is a much stronger film, but this was another step in the right direction for the Bad Boys franchise, and certainly an entertaining action film. Let's start with the pros. First, after how long this franchise has been going for almost 30 years, it's amazing to see that spark with the electric chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence has never lost its touch, and it's always remained consistent throughout all 4 movies. Both Smith and Lawrence returned to their roles effortlessly and with such ease, maintaining their rousing back and forth banter and comedic timing, and still shining as an action duo. And it's obvious how much these two love these characters so much and enjoying every single second. Now, Will Smith, say whatever you want about him 2 years after that incident post-Oscar slap, but he still got it as a charismatic and energetic movie star. And like with Bad Boys for Life, it's great to see Mike's more vulnerable side here, with him having panic attacks and focusing on his fear of losing the ones closest to him. And Smith pulled that off very well, with of course shining as an action star, his humor, charm. And Martin Lawrence is always great as Marcus, and he has so many scenes in this movie that just had me cracking up that were hilarious. And like his running gag with food and his craving for food was just always funny. And one question, why isn't Martin Lawrence in more movies nowadays? Seriously. And I also like seeing more of the complicated relationship between Mike and his son from the previous movie, continuing that good emotional core of the film and giving him a well-earned redemption arc. It's evident with these 2 Bad Boy movies that Adil and Bilal, they put this franchise under the right hands under their confident direction. They still know how to craft highly entertaining action set pieces that are chaotic, frenetic, stylish, and thrilling. They do some very nifty camera movements that are well shot and don't use any shaky cam at all, and you can see what's going on. And there is some drone camera work in this movie, and it actually did work pretty well and never annoyed me, nor did it feel overused. And the climax of this movie set at an abandoned gator park. There are so many highlights in there, and I love the camera work in one shootout scene where it just rotates focusing on Will Smith and then rotating to first person. That was just some very cool camera work right there. I really liked it. And speaking of other action highlights here, let's talk about the character of Reggie. Now, there's a scene with him at Marcus's house. He has an incredibly awesome action scene there. Just watch the movie, watch that scene. Oh my god, I loved it. And sadly, I do have some flaws with this movie. I will get to those right now. First, the story can feel pretty basic with some predictability. The story is like a typical on-the-run story, just like been there, done that, some corrupt people involved. And second issue, along with that predictability, the main villain does feel pretty generic and disposable. Just a pretty one-note villain that's a step down from the previous movie's villain. And also, there is a twist villain reveal with another villain, and just when I saw this character, I already knew that character was going to be the villain. Just the first time I saw this character, I thought, this person got something up their sleeve, doesn't they? And when it's revealed, I was like, yeah, I was right. And lastly, while I did find this to be a funny movie, there were a few times with the humor that can feel a bit forced and I wasn't really laughing that much and kind of fell flat. To sum up, admittedly the story can feel pretty basic and there are generic villains. Bad Boys Ride or Die continues to make this franchise entertaining after Bad Boys for Life, with the consistent and dynamite chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and energetic action set pieces that are very well directed by Adil and Bilal. I would definitely recommend this movie to you if you're fans of the Bad Boys franchise and you like every single one of them. You're more likely going to enjoy this one. Or like me, if you thought the first 2 Bad Boys films were meh, but really enjoyed Bad Boys for Life, I think you're gonna enjoy this one too. And also, if you're looking for a fun action movie, get some popcorn, and just have some fun to go see at the movies this summer, do check out Bad Boys 4. However, if you're not a fan of the Bad Boys franchise, you don't like any of these movies, this one doesn't look interesting to you, I don't think this movie's really gonna change your mind, really. Or if action movies like these aren't really your cup of tea, I wouldn't really recommend this movie to you. Now, I just heard today that Bad Boys 5 is now in discussion, and right now, Bad Boys Ride or Die has just grossed $56 million on its opening weekend. And that's pretty close to the opening weekend of Bad Boys for Life, which was $62 million on its opening weekend, so that's quite close right there. So with that strong opening, I think a 5th film could likely happen. And if Adil and Bilal are going to direct the next one, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are back, I do want to see a Bad Boys 5 in the future, if they're going to be back returning. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Bad Boys Ride or Die 3.5 stars out of 5, a B. Now, watching these 2 Bad Boys movies, I am seriously pissed off that Batgirl movie got canceled by Warner Brothers. Seriously? Watching how they direct action scenes in this movie, just like, no, there is no way Batgirl would be bad enough to be cancelled. Now, this is wishful thinking on my part. After Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, I would love for James Gunn to revive that movie and get a Batgirl movie made and give Batgirl another go. That would be awesome, because I really wanted to see that Batgirl movie to see if it would have been good or not. I bet it would have been good, but such a shame. With these two Bad Boys movies and them directing a few episodes of Ms. Marvel, I am liking Adil and Bilal as action directors so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the future. Either a Bad Boys 5 or something else in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now, where would I rank this movie in my Bad Boys ranking? To give you my ranking, number 4, Bad Boys 2. Number 3, the first Bad Boys. Number 2, that's where I'm going to put Bad Boys Ride or Die. And number 1, Bad Boys for Life. And that right there is my Bad Boys ranking, and I would like to hear your ranking in the comments below. Feel free to share. Now, I would like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Bad Boys Ride or Die? Have you seen it? Do you agree? Disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you interested in seeing the film or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here, and don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. My social media links will be in the description down below. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you want to see any more of my written reviews, I do have a Letterboxd account, so if you'd like to follow me on there as well. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.